3 children, and I have been a parent for almost 26 years. And I'm here to tell you that parenting is not an easy task. It's rather complex. There are lots of pitfalls. And perhaps one of the most difficult areas is the area of communication. What to say? What not to say? Sometimes parents say too much. Sometimes they don't say enough. Parents, because of our years of experience, well, you know, we think certain things are just plain obvious. We take certain things for granted. And so we fail to communicate vital pieces of information to our children, and then they get confused, and they ask questions. And that is when parents often say too much. Now this whole situation gets even more complex if you happen to be of Irish ancestry, like myself. Because Irish stories, they never stick to the point. They wander, they digress, they ramble. Now my mother is also of Irish ancestry, and when I was a little girl, she did leave pieces of information out. She did ramble. And there were times when simple, straightforward conversations would take the strangest turns. Let me tell you a story. I grew up in a town called Norwood, a tiny little town in a very rural part of northern New York State. We had 1 car. My mother did not drive. So if I wanted to go somewhere that I couldn't walk to, I either had to hitch a ride with one of my friend's parents or wait until my father could drive me. Well, one winter, when I was in 8th grade, my girlfriend, Sherry Parker, invited me to spend the weekend at her house. Now, Sherry lived in the town of Chase Mills, which was 2 towns over and a lot of back roads away from my house. But we asked our parents. They said it was okay, and it was decided that I would get on the bus on Friday afternoon at my school and go to Sherry's house, and on Sunday afternoon, my father would come and pick me up. On Sunday morning, very early, the phone rang. It was for me. I answered. My mother said, "Lorraine, now listen, I've got something to tell you." Now, when my mother said those words, I just knew it wasn't going to be good. "Yes," I said. "You're going to have to find a ride home." "Well, why?" I said. "Can't Daddy come and get me?" "No, there's been an accident." "Oh, no," I said. "Is Daddy okay?" "Oh, yeah, he's fine. He was sleeping." "He was sleeping? In the car?" "What?" said my mother. "No, he wasn't sleeping in the car. He was in the bed." I said, "Wait a minute. Daddy was sleeping in the bed?" "Yes, he was sleeping in the bed, and the car is completely wrecked, and you're going to have to find a ride home." And that was it. She hung up the phone. I went into the kitchen where my friend Sherry and her mother was standing, and I said, "My father was sleeping in the bed, and now the car's completely wrecked, and I need a ride home." It wasn't until I got home that my younger brother explained to me exactly what had happened. You see, my house was right next to Route 56, which was a major highway that people drove on day and night. It was wintertime. There was a little culvert, and a patch of ice had formed on that culvert. A young man, in the middle of the night, driving way too fast, possibly under the influence of alcohol, had come speeding down Route 56. He had hit that patch of ice. His car had started to spin. He had lost control. It careened off the road and crashed into our car, which was in the driveway. not only did he crash into the car, he crashed into the concrete steps at the front of our house. The noise was deafening, and it woke my parents up out of a sound sleep. They went walking through the house, trying to find the source of the noise, and finally my father opened the front door, and he saw the mangled grill of the car, and he saw the young man sprawled on our steps. And my father, with characteristic nonchalance, turned to my mother and said, "Anna, there's someone at the door." Now, my mother is an Irish mother. She was raised by my grandmother, who was an Irish mother. And if you ask my children, they will tell you that I am an Irish mother. Now, for those of you who might not know what an Irish mother is, let me explain. An Irish mother is a person who imagines the worst possible case scenario for any given situation, and then issues a potent interdiction to keep you from transgressing in any way. An Irish mother does not go up to her child and say, "Honey, please don't play in the road. You might get hurt." No. An Irish mother walks up to her child, fixes that child with a steely gaze, and says, "Go ahead, play in the road. Tractor trailer will come along, drive right over you, flatten your body to the asphalt so that we have to peel you off in order to marry you." That's an Irish mother. Now, I want you to know that being an Irish mother is not gender specific. My brother is an Irish mother. When my nephew Gavin was 8 years old, my brother Brian and his wife Megan decided that they would have his birthday at a miniature golf course. So the invitations were sent out, and 10 little boys arrived. The owner of the golf course explained the rules, gave them their little scorecards, their little pencils, their little teeny tiny golf clubs, and sent them off, and they ran off to play excitedly. All except for Tommy. Tommy stayed by the fish pond right in front of the clubhouse. Now, the fish pond was filled with those big goldfish, the big ones, and they were swimming around, and Tommy, he put his hands right in there, and he started to splash around and try to catch the fish. Now, there was a big sign that said, "Please do not play with the fish." My sister-in-law, Megan, who is without a doubt the most patient person I have ever met in my entire life, and who has worked in a very progressive child development center and knows all the right techniques, came over to Tommy and said, "Tommy, it's not okay to play with the fish." Tommy kept his hands in the water, splashing around, trying to catch the fish. The owner of the golf course came out. Now, he didn't want to create a big ruckus because that would be bad for business, but he said, "Young man, that sign says, 'Please do not play with the fish. Please do not play with the fish.'" Tommy kept his hands in there, splashing around, trying to get a hold of those fish. My brother Brian, all 6 feet 3 inches of him, walked over and he looked at Tommy. He said, "Hey, Tommy, I see you're playing with the fish. You know, those are man-eating piranhas. You keep your fingers in there, they'll chew them off to bloody stumps. That's all you'll have left." And Tommy, he pulled his hands up out of the water and he never put them back in. That's an Irish mother. Now, I think that one of the most difficult tasks that any parent has to face is telling their child about sex, the facts of life.